Hi again everyone, hello fellow scavengers. It's the Sci-Fi Scavenger BookTube channel here. If you've been watching, I've been doing a few book hauls videos to catch up on the too many books that I bought during April, and I'm going to try to be ambitious with this haul video. I've got next to me, you can't see them, a pretty big pile of books, which if I get through would leave one more catch-up haul of hardbacks, and then we'd be up to date, and then I can show you the books that I bought today and the ones that I'll buy tomorrow. So let's go. First up is a whole bunch of Douglas Adams books. This is a common theme if you watched any of the early videos, I had all the Hitchhiker's series in paperback, and then I sold them in my early 20s for beer money, and I have reacquired them with spares. So I've got that edition of Hitchhiker's, which I've never seen before. It's possible it's an American issue, actually. Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, American. But I also have a hardback edition, which is in quite good nick. It is, well, clearly it's not a first edition, but this one was published in 2005. But you know, it's a nice neat copy. I probably don't need both, but they are quite different, so I'm a bit torn which one to keep. Honestly, if I find the UK paperback edition that I had when I was a kid, then I'll probably just get that and return the others to whence they came. Restaurant at the End of the Universe, which isn't the one that I had when I was a kid. That's the one with the Coke ring pull on it. That's the one that I had, but it'll do. It's in good condition. No, I'm wrong. The Restaurant at the End of the Universe one I had was the one with the neon star on it. Anyway, so this is Life in the Universe and everything. That's got the Coke ring pull on it. Again, in good condition. I can never remember quite which order these come in now. I think So Long and Thanks for the Fish is next. That's quite a nice copy. And then another copy, that's the one that I had, with the seal on it, or walrus, whatever the hell it is. I think it's a seal. So I have, so that's volume 4 in the trilogy of 5, as it says on the cover. I don't know which of those I'll keep. They're not very big, so they don't take up much room. Maybe I'll just keep them all, just for laughs. And then we've got Mostly Harmless, which I think is the same as the one that I had when I was younger. It's a bit scruffy and kind of mucky on the back, but just probably could be cleaned, to be honest with you. And then finally the Salmon of Doubt, which I think completes the trilogy of 6. That's a more recent one, which I don't think I've read. So I should catch up on that one. Maybe I'll read the whole lot. And then, in keeping with the theme, we also found Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency, which I think I've read. And then this one actually was bought for me by one of my kids a year or two back, but I didn't read it because I didn't have the first one. But now that I do, I can. So that's all Douglas Adams. What else we got here? Okay, these are a bit of random selections. I'm going to skim through these pretty fast. This one is Mick Farren, The Song of Faye the Gambler. Absolutely no clue what that's about. It was recommended to me. I think it possibly is more fantasy than science fiction, although, you know, it's got a spaceship on it, so meets my criteria. And then we've got Elizabeth Moon, Remnant Population. I actually initially thought that the book was called Elizabeth Moon, and I didn't really understand why, because of Moon, obviously, could easily be confused for a science fiction book. And then I'm really looking forward to reading this at some stage, Darwinia. The premise for that is that at some point in the early 1900s, the whole continent of Europe disappears and is replaced by some primeval, sort of prehistoric, different terrain, different climate, different beasties, where evolution has followed a different path. So that sounds wacky. I'm quite looking forward to reading that. This was a random purchase in a supermarket sweep in a probably an Oxfam bookshop. Sean Williams' Astropolis. It's book 1 of something or other, and according to the Independent, it's exceedingly good space opera, not to be confused with Mr. Kipling's Exceedingly Good Cakes. Although if I'm hungry enough, I might eat it. This is a nice, well, mostly nice. It's got a little bit of a crease in the corner, but a nice vintage, with the red spine, vintage copies of Jules Verne, 20,000 Leagues, which I did read when I was much younger. It's Michael Moorcock, which looks like a collection of short stories involving Jerry Cornelius. Again, never read anything by him, but that's a nice copy. And then an Alan Dean Foster omnibus with all the first 3 Alien movie tie-in books. So that'll keep me company on a long flight at some point, I expect. And then the last one is a adventure science fiction. It's actually 3 books in one, so there must have been quite slim volumes, but it's Edmund Hamilton's Star Wolf trilogy. Again, showing my ignorance, never heard of it or him, so who knows. Some more random ones. Timothy Zahn, Manta's Gift. No idea. Timothy Zahn, Icarus Hunt, cool picture on the front. That's quite a recent one. Yeah, 1999. It was published in the year 2000. So I think this is a US edition. Yeah. One of the Gollancz 50s. The Name of the Wind. At first I thought this was a series of short stories, but it isn't. It's a fantasy, I think, rather than science fiction. But it's in the Gollancz yellow, so it counts as far as I'm concerned. I don't know anything about that. If you've read it or know anything about it, then drop me a comment below. That would be really interesting to hear. Charlie Stross, Iron Sunrise. I'm missing the first one of these. This is a sequel to Singularity Sky, that's right. Which I have a sneaking suspicion that I read. Yeah, Singularity Sky was his first book, and then Iron Sunrise was obviously his second then. So I recall it being quite good, but it's possible I'm confusing it with something else. And then another Charles Stross, but this time one of the Laundry Files books. These are quite funny, definitely not science fiction, really, more occult, but they're fun books. So with a strong civil service vibe to them. Okay, now we get serious. So this copy of Dune is the one that I've had since the early 1980s, and it's the tie-in for the movie from that period with Carl McLachlan as Paul Atreides. I've read this copy several times over the decades. It's still in reasonable condition. That the kind of glue for the pages is beginning to go a bit, but I found matching movie tie-ins for the more recent one, the one that was out a year or two ago. The second one's out this year, isn't it? Which is in almost new condition, so they can go together on the shelves. That would be nice, keep each other company. And then I had the whole Dune set again when I was younger, and then foolishly sold them all for no money at all, really. I'm not sure what order these go in. I think this is probably before this one. So I managed to find the Pennington cover of God Emperor of Dune. It's not in brilliant condition, but until I find one in better nick, that will do nicely. And then I've got the version that I'm familiar with. So this is the one that the livery that I had my full set in back in the day of Chapter House Dune, which I think is the 6th, and if you've got any sense, that's kind of where you stop of the series. I do have another 2 that I picked up today, but they're not going to be in this video. So I think I'm approaching a full set, but I think I'm missing one. So we'll see. It'll turn up at some point. And then we've got Jeff Vandermeer's Annihilation, which I got recently, but I have in fact read this copy since I got it. I don't have the other 2 yet, but I gather they're quite good. Kind of mind-bendy, bit of a trip as far as books go, but I enjoyed it. And then we've got Never Let Me Go, a movie tie-in version, I think. A good book and a good movie. William Gibson, Mona Lisa Overdrive, slightly tatty, never read it. And then Robert L. Forward, Dragon's Egg, which I think is about life on or near a neutron star, if I remember rightly. I think I've seen a review of this recently, actually, online. Only 4 more stacks to go. I got this, which is in perfect as new condition. It's a Joe Haldeman omnibus of the 3 books that are in the Forever War series. So it includes Forever War, Forever Free, and the 3rd one, Forever Peace. I've never read it really. I hear fantastic things about Forever War. I'm not so sure about the other 2. I need to read those. And then another Joe Haldeman in pretty good condition. I need to get rid of that sort of residue from the price sticker from the shop, but it's in pretty good nick. It's a New English Library sort of large format paperback of The Long Habit of Living. We've got Harry Harrison, Skyfall. It's very tatty. Probably not worth the £1.99 I paid for it in Oxfam, to be honest. Bought in a bit of a frenzy. But I know that he wrote the Stainless Steel Rat, but they, for some reason, never appealed to me. So if you've read those and really like them, then let me know. I could have got a few of them today, actually, but didn't. That's a copy of P.D. James' Children of Men, which became quite a good movie. I've got, stupidly, I think I bought a different version of this today, not the movie tie-in, but I was a bit foolish buying something I already have, but I'll use the excuse that it's a different format, and so it doesn't count. And then I've got a few Ken MacLeod's. I'd never heard of Ken MacLeod until I saw him being interviewed on Moyd's Media Death Cult channel, and I've been looking out for his book. So I've got 5 now. Star Fraction I've read in the last few weeks, which I really enjoyed. Had the sneaking feeling that I'd read it before, but I think that was... I was confusing it with the Greg Mandel trilogy from Peter F. Hamilton. It's a similar sort of near future, fractured Britain, lots of different factions and sort of a low-level civil war brewing, if I remember right, and that has a similar vibe. I think the Stone Canal, this isn't a great copy, it's got a tear on the cover at the top there, and the Sky Road are alternative sequels to the Star Fraction. So they take different paths down. It's like a sliding doors moment, and one of them different to the other. Clearly, one involving Life on Mars and one not. I think, and then the Cassini division. It follows on from one of those. I forget which. And then this is the second book of a different series. The Engines of Light, and this one's called Dark Light. I don't have the first one, so I'll look out for that at some point. This is in shit state. It's got wet at some point. Someone spilt their tea on it by the look of it. As well as using it for target practice for darts. I think it's got loads of, I don't know if you can see that, little holes in it. Someone's practicing their braille or something. So I'll look out for a better version of that. But so that's filled out my Ken MacLeod collection a bit. I enjoyed that one that I have read, so I'm looking forward to reading those in a parallel universe where I have the time. I picked up a couple of Neil Gaiman's Neverwhere. I'm pretty sure I've read that. I think does that involve going in an alternative? Yeah, Underground in London. I'm pretty sure I've read that. Quite enjoyed it, I think. And then a pretty shitty copy of American Gods. I could have got a better one today actually, but I wasn't sure how much better it was. And from memory, I think it was quite a lot better than this. But it'll do as a reading copy, and if I like it, I'll get a better one at some stage. I was really happy to find this the other day. It's a Jack Vance, pretty good copy of Lyonesse, which isn't science fiction, it's fantasy, but nonetheless it's good. It's a nice cover. I wonder who that's by. I wondered if it was Pennington. It's not. It's someone called Mick Van Houten, so who knows. That's like an alternative medieval history. But much more about it I don't know. So again, we'll see. And then I picked up I had no idea who this young lady is, Emma Newman, but that's Planetfall and After Atlas, and I have a feeling there might be another one, so this is the sequel to the other, I think. And I noticed that Outlaw Bookseller has an interview with her coming up. I'm not sure when he's going to post it, in the next month hopefully. So I shall watch that with interest and perhaps bump these up my to be read pile if that's a good interview. We got John Scalzi, Old Man's War. I have read that, but on a knocked off e-book way back when that I no longer have access to, so I'm pleased to replace that with an actual book. I recall enjoying it, but I will read it again because haven't retained much of it. Running out of space here. These two bad boys I got the other day. Peter F. Hamilton, The Dreaming Void, and then to go with it, like the biggest book, The Dreaming Void, and I can't remember which one is which now. One of them is the first and one of them is the third. Let me see. Well, I guess this must, yeah, part one. So this is part one. It's a massive trade paperback doorstop squirrel killer edition. I would expect it's the same size as the hardback. It's enormous. And then this one is a more regular sort of B format paperback, still pretty huge in its own right. I've read those, again, on dodgy ebooks. So at some point I'll read those. I'm missing the middle one, which is called something else, clearly. Temporal Void. I'll get those. I'm not going to dwell on this next set other than to say they're a bit rubbish and I'm going to replace them. So they're the Lensman books, all 6 of them. They're in that's upside down. They're in a set, a numbered set. They're all in pretty tatty condition, really creased covers, creased spines, and they just don't look very nice. So I will replace those with the Panther science fiction ones. I've already got the second stage Lensman up behind me somewhere, and they're much nicer. And I'll happily junk these once I get the full set. Right, one more pile, and we're there. It's one of the Kim Stanley Robinson's California trilogy. I've read this one many years ago. I don't remember an awful lot about it, but I gather it's the best of the California trilogy, so lucky me. And then another Kim Stanley Robinson, this one, New York 2140, which, as I recall, is about the world going to shit and New York flooding and so on. And then I found, in quick succession, 3 Ian Banks. I read all of these many times, but didn't have physical copies myself. So this is a fairly ordinary paperback of A Player of Games, and then quite an ordinary trade paperback size Consider Phlebas. I would love to get those in hardback, both of them, but that's the work of over £1,000 between them, so that's not going to happen anytime soon. And then I also got, sort of accidentally, this Against Dark Background. I thought I was ordering the hardback, and it was from one of these online bookshops that wasn't World of Books, it was Better World Books, I think. And they'd listed it as a hardback for something like, I can't remember, £15 or something like that. So it seemed feasible that they were flogging it for reasonable money. So I bought it, it arrived, it's a Whopper Dog Burger paperback, not hardback, which is disappointing. But actually, because it's so big, next to the other books in the same format, it actually looks kind of like a hardback, so it'll do as a sort of ersatz hardback for now. I would like to get that one in hardback as well. Station 11, book about train spotters at the end of the world. I have read that one actually a couple of times. I think as a sort of celebratory, to get into the swing of the pandemic, I think I read that again at the start of the pandemic and enjoyed it the second time as well. And this one, Constant Rabbit, until recently, until I saw him interviewed on Media Death Cult, I hadn't heard of Jasper Fforde. I think he's sort of on the fringes of science fiction, really, and I think his stories are mostly earthbound, but on a tilted axis, if you like. This one involves the appearance way back when of human-sized rabbits. Not sure why. and he described it as his post-Brexit novel. So being rabbits, there's quite a lot of them now, and they're unwelcome, sort of immigrant proxy, and upset all the kinds of people that you would expect that to upset. And then finally, I've got Stephen Baxter, Ultima, which is a sequel to Proxima, which I've had for ages, which I have read, but I haven't read this one, I don't think. So at some point I'm going to have to reread the first one because I have no clue what that's about anymore. I don't seem to retain very few books. Maybe I need to be more deliberate about my reading. Maybe I skim read them too fast, but perhaps the process of reviewing them will help me retain some of this stuff as I go forward. But you know, I read the Proxima one, no clue what it was about. Right, well that's it. There is another pile right down here, which I won't do now because this one's gone on for long enough. But hopefully I'll get that one done. I'm going to Greenwich Market tomorrow with some of my family, and then it's entirely possible that I might accidentally go to the Oxfam bookshop that's there, and there are, I think, some bookstores, or there were when I was growing up in that area. And in fact, there's an entire indoor book market, I think. I can't see any reference to that on Google Maps anymore, so that might have gone, might have been redeveloped or something. But while they're mucking about buying knickknacks in the market, I'll be looking for books. So I'm working on the basis that April's book buying budget is already astronomically over budget. So another 20 quid today, and whatever I spend tomorrow is sort of immaterial in the scheme of things. When my wife gets around to adding it all up, she's going to be a bit upset with me, but I think I need to set myself a ceiling on a monthly basis now, otherwise it's going to get silly. Right, well that's it for now. Thanks for watching. If you smash the like button and subscribe if you haven't already, and do say hello in the comments, anything that you spotted that you like the look of, or you particularly want to recommend that I should bump up my my TBR pile, that would be awesome. And I will see you next time, which will probably be a review, I think, of The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. That was the one I read most recently. Okay, bye bye, see you later.